all of the training in all of the world could not have prepared me for Double Dragon. It started with a simple idea. What if I played through every game I ever wanted to finish? That idea became the 1K Backlog Catalog, 1,000 games across 10 consoles, and my mission to beat them all, one by one. Game number 6 in the challenge. Originally released in 1987, this beat-em-up was developed by Technos Japan and published by Taito for the arcades. But for this challenge, I played the one for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was released in 1988 by Trade West. While we're cleaning up the streets in Double Dragon, Frank Drebin of the police squad was also busy keeping the streets clean.
You didn't do anything, huh?
I've got rights. Look,
Look, Ed. He's got a picture of your wife. Ethel. All right. Anyone else here seeing his wife?
The Naked Gun, released in 1988, and it proved that serious acting with good writing and great comedic timing could produce a winning formula.
Bingo.
Let's jump right into the story of Double Dragon. Double Dragon is the story of Billy and Jimmy Lee, twin brothers who learned to fight in the cold, tough streets of the city. Their expert knowledge of martial arts combined with their street smarts has made them both formidable fighting machines. But now, Billy is faced with his greatest challenge. His girlfriend Marion has been kidnapped by the Black Warriors, the savage street gang of the mysterious Shadow Boss. Using whatever weapons come to hand, knives, whips, bats, rocks, oil drums, and even dynamite, Billy must pursue the gang through the slums, factories, and wooded outskirts of the city to reach the hideout for his final confrontation with the Shadow Boss, his brother, Jimmy. The game starts out and we have a pretty basic move set, a punch, a kick, and a headbutt. But every 999 points, we gain an extra heart. Points are gained by punching and kicking enemies, 20 points for each punch, 15 points for each kick that lands. Upon gaining an extra heart, we also gain a new fighting ability. We'll be able to upgrade with a jump kick, uppercut, low kick, hair pull kick, over the shoulder throw, spin kick, pin attack, but most importantly of them all, the overpowered elbow punch. The elbow punch is so powerful. In fact, obtaining the elbow punch early becomes very vital to getting through this game in a much more efficient manner. The game has an interesting cast of characters. I play as Billy Lee and our brother is Jimmy Lee. We also have Roper, Abobo, Williams, Linda, Chintai, and Willie. The title screen music here is very good and it gives me some hope for the rest of the music throughout the game. There are a couple of modes here, but I'm after the story mode, and that's mode A. The opening scene sees the girl in red getting punched in the gut and taken away. The girl is Marion, our girlfriend, so the goal of the game is to rescue Marion and take down the Shadow Boss. Mission 1. So the game starts off by throwing a pair of Williams at us. With a few punches and kicks, we make pretty short work of these guys. The game gives us a thumbs up and we can move on. These doors open and a pair of Lindas come out. One of them comes equipped with a whip. Now we get a couple of Roper thrown at us. A couple more Roper come, one from each side, and then there's another Linda here with a whip. Once I defeat her, I pick up the whip. Using the whip will get you 30 points per hit. Defeating this final Linda over here opens these doors and we can head into this conveyor belt room. First up, they throw a couple of Ropers straight at me, one on each side. The game loves to throw one on each side, so that you sort of have to juggle them back and forth. In fact, it becomes quite beneficial to try and get them both on the same side and move up and down the screen so that they avoid getting around you. Here's the first boss. He's called Abobo. The game's manual says he's 6'3", 260 pounds. The middle boss likes to throw bombs and slap people around. I don't know if he actually throws bombs in this version of the game or if that's something left over from the arcade, but he's got some pretty powerful punches and kicks, so we've got to keep our distance and try and take him out. This here's my first death and we have to reset here in the boss room, and the game immediately loads me into a guy wailing away on the back of my head. Here we go again, another shot at a Bobo, and here I realize I can actually kick this guy off the conveyor belt to defeat him and move on. This is a pretty cool strategy, but it also has a lot of risks with it, as I find myself falling off of this conveyor belt as well. Now we're off to mission 2. A couple of Roper here to start out. Progressing forward and we can climb this fence and we're met with a couple of Williams with a baseball bat. This guy is absolutely going to town on me, so I need to be careful and take him out. Jump kicks seem to be a good way to take him out, but I jumped to my death here unfortunately. And as I respawn, this Williams throws a stick of dynamite at me. Back up the fence and I try to take this one out. A nice jump kick and a throw here and I'm able to take him out pretty quickly this time. Took me a while to perfect the fall off of this fence here. A couple more Williams here to take take out, and now that I've got a bat, they go down pretty quickly. As you can see, we already have 4 hearts in the game. You level up fairly quickly, and it becomes essential later in the game to have leveled up as quickly as possible. The more hearts, the more moves we have to use in the future. More Linda here I can take care of, and a pair of Linda spawn on this next level. But with this whip, they stand no chance. I've got another Linda on the way down this ladder, so I just wait and I take her out with the whip. Up a few more ladders and we have our second boss. This is the debut of Chintai. Chintai is 5'6", 152 pounds, and he's a karate master. This Chintai has more health than the other guys we've seen so far, but he's not too hard, and I managed to take him out, and we're on to mission 3. Mission 3, we're absolutely cruising along here, and so far the game has given me a great sense of confidence. I've got a Williams here with a knife, and he throws it in my direction, and I am lucky to be able to dodge it. Another pair of Williams in this area, and now I just want to point out how cool is the background in this level. We got a nice, lovely purple sky and a mountain in the background. The Chintai, the former boss that we just had to take out, now I have 2 of them. 2 Chintai is actually significantly more strategic, and unfortunately I hit another death here. And this is the first full reset of the game I have, and it is the first of many resets I will experience throughout this game. It's on my second run through of the game that one of the viewers, who is a Double Dragon fan, gave me some pointers on how to grind out the hearts so I can proceed to the next levels with better attacks. By punching or kicking the enemies, but not knocking them down, they won't lose any health, and I can continually punch or kick to build up my score. Let's take a break now to talk about the graphics. The graphics here aren't too bad. There's a great use of color, and the backgrounds are really nice. I like a lot of the detail throughout the levels. The sprites do leave something to be desired, however. They're not great looking, but not horrible as well. Overall, I would say graphically, it's a slight above average for the NES. As far as the music and the audio goes, we have a pretty standard punch and kick sound that's transferred over to your weapons as well. They all have the same sound, nothing too special, but where the audio really shines is the music. And I know I've said it with other games, but the music in this game is phenomenal. It is by far and away my favorite music in any of the games I've played for this challenge so far. It really gets you pumped up, and this is how a fighting game should sound. Each and every track in this game is great. Alright, let's talk about some gameplay. Going back to play a beat 'em up from the NES, if you're not nostalgic about it like me, this was a little bit hard to get into. I did learn the game, and obviously I got better with the game, but it doesn't move as well as I would like it to. I wish the game felt a little better, and in the later stages of the game, they throw in some platforming that is just unnecessary. The game was not designed for platforming. You have to understand what the game will let you do and just get used to it. Let's get back to my playthrough. It took me 3 or 4 tries to finally make my way back to these Chintai, and this time I used the strategy of just tapping forward enough so that 1 came through instead of 2. This was definitely a little bit easier for me to take this guy out this time. I do die, however, and lose one of my lives here, and when I respawn, it actually just respawns with 2 Chintai anyways. And unfortunately, I let 1 get on the other side of me, and I start throwing them back and forth to take them out. There's a 4th Chintai. As if 3 wasn't enough, taking him out, we get the thumbs up to move on. After the next guy, I have to jump this gap. The jump itself isn't too bad, although I do fail several times here. But on the other side of this jump, we have a Williams holding a knife. Now, if I don't jump and then move immediately, he'll hit me with the knife and knock me back into the water. Luckily, I got this on the second try, and he didn't knock me in. I picked up the bat, and we've got a couple more Williams, one with a knife, and unfortunately, the guy with the knife gets me, and I have another reset. Finally getting back here and across the bridge, I clear out the Williams, and we have 4 ropers to take care of. Walking to the end of this big rock face, I see 2 Abobo crash out of the wall like the freaking Kool-Aid man. And unfortunately, I die here and have to reset. It takes me a few tries before I finally get past these Abobo. You can use elbows, but you need to position yourself so that you're not straight in front of them, otherwise they have a high likelihood of just punching you in the back of the head. The other strategy to use is jump kicks. This will take longer, but if you stack them up next to each other, you can hit both of them at the same time. After this fight, you can enter the hole that they created, or you can head to the right. Heading to the right will cause this level to essentially just repeat, and you have to fight your way back here. So, always head inside. Something to note here is that heading inside refills all of my health, and this is a strategy I will exploit later in this level. Walking into this cave is dangerous, as stalactites will fall at a pretty quick rate, and I need to move forward while trying to dodge them. Getting past them in this section leads to my first platforming experience in the game, and this one is easy compared to some of the awful ones that are yet to come. A pair of Chintai come out of this door, and taking them out and heading to the right, I see more stalactites falling, and this is how I die and get into my next reset. So on one of my next playthroughs, I discover I can go through the door that the two Chintai come out of, and this is the correct way to progress forward. The next room has several Williams coming in, and many are throwing dynamite I need to avoid. This is the doorway I was talking about earlier that I can use to reset my health if I ever get a bad run with these guys. I get knocked down this cliff and I need to jump this gap, and I proceed to just fall instead. Jumping these gaps and getting to another cliff I need to jump down. At the bottom is another Abobo smashing out of the wall. This one's green. I'm not sure if the color makes any difference, but beating this one spawns another one from the right after defeating him. And I've learned to start checking all possible doorways at this point, and this one leads to the next area. The next area has several doorways and many Lindas spawning. I start jumping to see if there's a clear indication of where to go, and I end up jumping to my death. I have to explore this area a little bit before I figure out what I need to do and where to go. Ultimately, there's a certain number of enemies I need to defeat before this pink doorway at the bottom opens up, and that's the end of Mission 3. Mission 4 starts out and I immediately get smacked in the head by this wall. So these bricks randomly shoot out and I need to try and dodge them. I try to see if I can move up or down the floor to change my position, and I just fall off the edge. Yet another reset. Getting back to the wall, I don't really see a pattern and I try and jump across as much as I can, and I end up losing 2 lives and having to make my way back here. I tried staring at it for a while to see if there was a pattern, but I didn't really see anything. I do get past it and I hardly have any health left. This wall is cheap and unfair. The difficulty spike is just for the sake of it. This is terrible implementation, and these types of things should not exist in video games. At one point, I had a no-death run get wiped out by this stupid wall. Anyway, on the other side of the wall, there are several Chintai, and some of them have throwing knives. This is a very tough fight. Just after this fight is a wall that is clearly climbable, and as soon as I start climbing, an Abobo crashes out of the wall, and I'm happy to just leave him behind. At the top, there's a fight with several ropers, and it's not too bad. As long as you can keep them in front of you, it's a pretty straightforward fight. After the fight, I get through the door, and it looks like I've reached an industrial area. There's Williams that come out of these doors in this area, and you can just skip them if you know where to go. But at this point, I did not know where to go, and I took a jump that was a risk that ended up in another reset. In this industrial area, the game decides it's going to start throwing some platforming at me. The game does not control well enough to be doing any platforming. You need to hit A and B to jump at the same time, and it does not register these inputs very well. Finally, I do get to the top of this level, and I enter the door into the hideout. Taking out a couple of guys and moving to the right, we have a big red floor with a door at the back. Out come a couple of Abobo. I've gotten pretty good at taking them out at this point, and they're followed by a couple of Chintai. Then a couple of Lindas. Looks like the game's gonna throw everything at me at this point. 2 ropers come out as well, and I think now that's everything I've seen in the game. Then out comes Willie. Willie is 6 foot, 205 pounds, and he's the big boss armed with a machine gun, and he's not afraid to use it. The footage you're seeing here is of the second time I had gotten this far. The first video unfortunately got corrupted. I moved around as much as I could in this fight. Try not to get shot. Getting shot takes a considerable amount of your health, so I need to avoid it. I tried to keep him at a kicking distance as much as possible, and when he fell, I tried to get in some mounted punches, and this is how I eventually took him down. There's no time to rest though, because out comes Jimmy, our brother. Jimmy is Billy's twin brother and secretly the Shadow Boss, mysterious leader of the Black Warriors. I just move and kick as much as I can in this fight, as I assume he has the same skill set as me. The fight is a bit of back and forth, and I'm losing health, and I'm really getting nervous in this fight. I get so low on health that I'm showing no health on my health bar. I somehow pull out this victory, and I am so happy to have beaten this one that I actually missed the ending. Oh my god! Yes! Holy shit! Oh. I had to go back and rewatch it after the stream. This is about as stressed as I can remember being while trying to beat any game, and I am so happy to say that Double Dragon for the NES is complete. Alright, let's get into the pros and cons of Double Dragon, starting with the cons. The controls are a little less responsive than I would like in a beat 'em up, particularly when you're trying to do the jumping sections, but also sometimes when you're trying to pull off a few of the moves. Hitting left or right, or double hitting right or double hitting left can cause you to do a headbutt in some of the stalactites falling from the cave section, and that's just abysmal. My other con is the wall in Mission 4 is just awful. It is bad game design, and it's simply been put in there to pad the difficulty. The game is challenging enough as it is. This kind of implementation is not necessary. There may be a pattern here that I don't know about. I couldn't see anything. Sometimes I made it through unscathed. Most of the time, I lost a life or two trying to get across it. Alright, let's talk about the pros of Double Dragon. This is the best music I've heard in an NES game so far. It feels like a beat 'em up. It really gets you going. It is perfect for this style of game. The next pro I have is the game scales its difficulty pretty well up until mission 4. The game feels like you're getting a little bit further with each successful playthrough until mission 4 and you hit the wall, literally. As an NES beat 'em up, it's nice to have new abilities you can unlock, and it's a nice sense of progression that you can sort of go through, even though you do end up just grinding it out as you get more experience with the game because it just makes it easier to grind it out. It is nice to see some sort of unlockable progression and getting new moves along the way. My final pro is the feeling of beating this game. This has to be one of the biggest feelings of relief I have ever felt in beating a game. I am super proud that I have stuck to it and I was able to complete it. If I had to give Double Dragon a score today, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's gonna lose a bit for some of the controls and some of the unfair difficulty spikes, but overall, it's a pretty fun game, and if you liked it as a kid, you probably enjoy going back and spending a bit of time with this one again. As far as difficulty goes, I'd have to give this one an 8 out of 10 for me. This was one of the more difficult games I have ever beaten, but I'm also leaving some room at the top for future games that I know are probably going to end up being harder than this. And with that, I did a random draw to pick the next game, and the next game is A Boy and His Blob. So, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. I really appreciate it, guys. Feel free to follow, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Your support has been amazing so far, so I genuinely want to say thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time.